Hi there, I'm Eric Wordweaver Sjerven, Godhi of the Ridgar folk here in East Texas, and I'd like to welcome you to the Raven's Call. This is a channel where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects, whatever happens to strike my fancy. Sometimes it's intro stuff, sometimes it's advanced, but nonetheless, this is what I do. So, welcome to my mind. Let's venture in a little bit and see what we see, okay? Now, today's topic is going to be one that was kind of spawned by my last video. I put a video out last week, hopefully you guys have seen it by now, that discusses the tribal structure of Ridgar. Now, I ramble on for a good long time, but one of the things that is kind of key to our tribal structure are the elements of different positions within the tribe. And there is no position within a tribe that is probably more controversial today than that of the Godhi, which you will see spellings for down here. The diphthong letter of Icelandic, the DTH, creates a vocalized the sound. So it appears to say Godhi, but what it actually means is Godhi, the. This is different than the, thorn letter that means a th, an unvocalized th, a breathy th, like thorn. This is the vocalized the, as in the. So what you've got is Godhi. You will also see it spelled in the subsequent form, which is Godhi. That's also understood to mean Godhi. See that it's not Godhi, it's not Gadi, it's Godhi. And let's talk a little bit about what a Godhi is, okay? Now, Godhi is actually a classic term from arch-heathen times that comes mostly from the Icelandic area. And a Godhi in Iceland during the pre-conversion, post-conversion era was a regional leader. They were responsible for a specific subsection of Iceland. Iceland was broken up into separate things, separate ruling bodies, and there were Goðords that were kind of subsections of these groupings of people that this individual was responsible for and representative for as they came up into the thing where all of them would gather up and discuss. Now, in this instance, it's somewhat like a chieftain in that it is a regional leader. Usually these regional leaders were there because of some kind of political power within the structure, especially once it's all been established. There's actually strong records that Goðords could be bought and sold amongst individuals. There were certain individuals that had a Goðord because they purchased it or someone else purchased it for them to give them a position of power within the political structure of Iceland. If you look at some of the source material, especially back in the Icelandic sagas and things like that, what you'll find is these Godhis are actually very responsible for their people. So there's not a lot of corruption that occurs there, but there is some hints at it, and some of it can be the coloration of the individuals that are writing it down. But humans are humans, so there's going to be some corruption involved somewhere along the way. So not all Godhis are created equal in that respect, especially within an Icelandic term. Now, the Godhis were the ones that that owned most of the land that they then sublet out to share farmers that would buy in and work the land, things like that. And so they were kind of the head honcho for this particular area. And it was a loose thing because Iceland wasn't very, they didn't have a particularly strong government faction. It was very social in the way they handled things. So there's a lot of social shame pressure back and forth between individuals, which you can see in my shame versus guilt culture videos. So the Godhi position was, however, one that owned land typically. And typically they owned the land whereupon rituals would be held. So it fell to the Godhis to make sure that rituals were upheld. And so Godhis kind of filled a priest role as well. There is some indication in some of the old source materials that hint at the existence of priest classes. This was a specialized class that was skilled at ritual, and particularly, just like, say, the Matterbond or any of the warrior caste societies, were particularly good at the art of war, and they would pass down those skills and traditions amongst their, like the Jomsvikings, for example, are a good example of a Matterbond, of a war band. And within the Jomsvikings, they had specific rules for conduct within the Jomsvikings, and they had specific ways that go about doing things, training each other. And you didn't get to see that unless you were in the Jomsvikings. So similarly, this priest class would pass things down amongst and in that particular kind of thing. But it's not to say that there was some kind of church organization which was training Godhis and priests. It wasn't quite like that. But, and again, most of the time in Iceland, the Godhi position was actually purchased. The priest class as it exists kind of in mainland Norway and Scandinavia and things like that, there's not a whole lot of detail into how one gets into that or what the role is, how much of that is influenced by Christian bleed over, things like that. But there is some logical benefit to a priest class within a society. And if you look at the mythos, you actually see that Odin himself represents a priest class that rises to power and is then leading the tribe as a priest that has risen to become the kingship level, the leadership level as well. So Odin himself actually embodies the mix between the natural born leader and the priest class. And so Odin himself was after a fashion the first Godhi. So that I find that very fascinating, very moving with how we choose to incorporate and utilize the term Godhi within our tribe, which is as that mix of kind of the executive leader and the priest class. Now, previously, as I mentioned in my last video, Ridgar has undergone some changes over the years, and at one point in time, we did have a division between the chieftain of the tribe and the Godhi of the tribe. And there was some... We grew in different directions. And so the chieftain at the time wanted to go in a different direction than what the rest of the tribe was kind of leaning towards. And there was not even necessarily the rest of the tribe. There was still some division within the tribe. And that's a long story that if you guys want the full story on that, I'll give it some other time. But maybe not on the channel, but in person or email kind of thing. But anyway, because it's not bad, it's just kind of simply how the degradation of a tribe can occur over time. If you join together and then find out you're going in different directions, then you just release each other, and you go your direction, we go our direction, and then what was once one becomes two strong things, and so that's a good thing. Which is fine. It's mitosis after a fashion. So anyway, we did have a chieftain and Godhi at one point in time, and there was some strength to that in a lot of ways, with the understanding that the chieftain was always the one that called the shots. Now, since the restructure and that chieftain left to pursue other avenues of heathenry that were a better fit for him and his family, what we have come to is a shift where the Godhi position then becomes the de facto leader of the tribe, and we explore the different elements of how the mixture of those two can actually work together. Because if you think about it, from a ritualistic standpoint, the individual that's running the ritual is the one that has the most dealings with the gods and goddesses, the one that has the most dealing with the luck of the tribe, and therefore they should, because they are dealing with it in the altar and in the ritual, they're just better at interacting with those things. And so the argument as far as for the leadership element is the chieftain was always the seat of luck for the tribe, but the Godhi is the one that's actually wielding the luck in ritual. If you meld the two, then the seat of luck is wielding the ritual, wielding that luck in the ritual for the tribe themselves. So it kind of coalesces into a stronger individual role within the tribe as opposed to disparate roles. But that's just from a tribal leadership level as far as Ridgar goes. Let's talk about the controversy of Godhi within just modern heathenry in and of itself. Okay, you've heard me give kind of the Icelandic roots of the term, discussion of the mixture of the leadership element with the spiritual element, but that doesn't change the fact that there are certain individuals out there who are just like, look, there's no need for a priest class in heathenry today, because any individual can lead a ritual. Any individual can speak to the gods and goddesses. They don't need a go-between. And this is true. individuals don't necessarily need a go-between to speak to the gods and goddesses or to speak to their ancestors or the Vetir. Anybody that thinks that's the role that the Godhi is playing, that they are necessary for you to contact the gods and goddesses, I would argue that either you are way down the path on kind of the metaphysical elements of what's going on as far as ritual goes, or you're holding on to some baggage from more monotheistic points of view. Let me break that down for you real quick, though. Most of the people that I find that have an aversion to the term Godhi are actually having an aversion to the term priest. Okay? Because the priest class in the monotheistic religion from which a large number of those, not necessarily everyone, but a large number of those individuals came from, as far as their background and history goes, and the main influences on their early developmental life, have left all of that's left a bad taste in their mouth for the priest in and of itself. A fallible human being who is put as the stopgap between the individual and the deity which they are worshiping. They cannot directly contact the god without going through the go-between of the priest. In a specific kind of ritualized format. Don't get me wrong, I understand from a monotheistic element that it's not exactly how it works. But that's the kind of baggage that comes over. Is like, I don't need a Godhi to talk to the gods for me. I can talk to them myself. Okay, cool. I completely agree. You can do that. That's fine. Not a problem. Not going to tell you you're doing it wrong. What I can tell you is that a Godhi is not the go-between between you and the gods. The Godhi is a facilitator of ritual. A Godhi is an individual who is particularly good at running a ritual. They're particularly good at managing the energies, both religious and spiritual, that are at play in a ritual such as this, and are good at structuring these things, wording these things, and facilitating these things in such a way that they're effective and that they're most effective for the tribe. So the priest class themselves, we're just looking at the priest element of Godhi here, not the leadership element, but the priest class element of Godhi, is that they are a specialized individual within the tribe whose responsibility it is to ensure that tribal level rituals are good and strong, and that the tribe stays good with the gods. They're kind of, they're a specialist in this area. And that is their role. If you know this person's good at ritual, then you can always let them run the ritual, and that's just their job. Okay? It's a job within the tribe. It is a responsibility to the people. It's a reciprocal responsibility. The people have to trust him enough to let him do what he's supposed to do. But then he is responsible to meet the needs of these individuals when it comes to ritual. And if he does not, then he's not doing his job. And you need to get a new Godhi. But anyway, so the role of priest within the tribes is that of as a facilitator of ritual. They're particularly good at honing in and dialing to the gods and goddesses. They're particularly good at connecting with the Vetir. It doesn't mean they're the only ones that can do it. It doesn't mean they're the only ones that should do it. A lot of times a Godhi can design a ritual and then choose someone else within the tribe to actually run the thing, because they're either training up a prospective new Godhi, or it's something that, like if you're doing a children's bloat, where you want the kids to conduct bloat so they can learn, so they can go through the ritual and see how it's done and physically actually do it. Well, your Godhi would design that and then coach the kids, teach the kids, and that comes to the other part of a Godhi's job, as I see it in modern heathenry. Keep in mind, this is just my head, but that is the role of teacher. Okay? And when I was Godhi of the tribe before taking on the, when it was just priest class, before I took on the chieftain elements as well, that's very much what I embraced as my role of the tribe. I saw my job to the tribe to be to see to and encourage their spiritual growth and well-being, their religious growth and well-being, and to ensure that the rituals were done effectively and routinely. So that was my job, was to see to ritual, to build ritual, to make ritual better, to dial it in, and do right by the tribe there. And then my other responsibilities were to teach the tribe these things and insights that I had, and to empower them, to make them better at those very interactions that they're saying they don't need a Godhi to help them with. Of course you don't. The only thing a Godhi can do is help to kind of teach you techniques and stuff, because they study it, they look at it, they spend time thinking about it. It's what they do, it's the kind of things that interest them. So that's what I was doing. I was constantly reading about ritual. I was constantly redesigning, playing with ideas, things like that. And then when it came down to time to do ritual, I would use my rituals as a teaching tool. I would also teach classes. I would write essays and stuff that I would then submit to my tribe for them to study, to help kind of break down why I do the things I do, why I go about building a ritual the way that I build a ritual, the certain elements that are there, why are they there? All these things that I do for you guys, I was doing for my tribe. And that I saw as the role of Godhi at the time, to see to their well-being and to encourage their growth, to teach them, and to, of course, see that ritual is done correctly. Now, is that necessary? That's up to you. I can't tell you whether or not that's necessary for your tribe in the modern day. Maybe you don't need a Godhi. Maybe your chieftain can just run all of the rituals. Maybe you can trade off, and whoever's house you're at for that particular event, the homeowner can host the ritual for that event. I'm not going to tell you it's wrong, because not my hall, not my call. I'm just telling you how we do it. But I will tell you that I do see benefit in the role of Godhi, priest class element, in modern heathenry. Now, Godhi itself, as we apply it within the tribe, is, of course, as you've seen in my previous video, a mixture of the priest class and the executive branch. We talked more in the previous video about the executive side of things with the Godhi, making judgment calls, guiding the tribe, working with his council, things like that, the web of oaths, things like that. I wanted to do this one because we needed to talk about the priest class element of Godhi for just a little bit. Because you're going to find out when you get online that there's a couple of things you're going to run into. One, you're going to run into that whole branch of people that say, I don't need no thinking Godhi, you're not, you're just giving yourself a title to sound important, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, one, I didn't give myself this title, my people gave it to me, okay? I earned it by earning their respect, and that's all that really matters to me. I don't care whether anybody else actually says, Godhis are necessary or Godhis are not. I don't care. Not my hall, not my call. My hall, my people gave me the title, and that's what I do. I have to live up to that expectation for them. And so, I take care of my inner guard. People should do the same. The other side of things that you're going to get is the side that says, hey, you are not a Godhi unless you can say you're a Godhi in a crowded room of heathens and nobody laughs. I hate that saying. I love that saying and I hate that saying because it's true. From a shame-based culture aspect, the role and responsibility of the Godhi is to their tribe, okay? And that is the case. If you can stand up and say to your tribe that you are their Godhi and nobody within the tribe counters or laughs at you or challenges you on that, you're the Godhi of that tribe. If they accept and assign that responsibility to you, if they enter into that social contract for that responsibility for you, then that is your role within the tribe. Outsiders can say what they want. They can say that you're not qualified. They can say that blah, blah, I don't care. All right? There is no clergy program that is necessary to become a Godhi for a tribe. Just caring and learning and pushing and striving. It's about a role of reciprocal responsibility that you play for your tribe and what you do for your tribe from that priest class element. Because there are Godhi programs out there. There are clergy programs out there that are designed to train people up in a specific way of going about things. Usually hosted by national organizations, so they can train you up in their way of doing things, and they will then ordain you so that you're legally, can marry, bury, all of that stuff. You're legally clergy at that point. Newsflash, guys, if you haven't watched my weddings video, you don't need them to tell you that you're legally ordained to marry and bury. Go on the internet, search out the Universal Life Church, online ordination. Guess what? You can be legally ordained, at least within the United States, to marry and bury, which is all you need for official clergy. You are officially clergyhood. You even get the, get into prisons and all that pass as clergy that you'll have just by going on and doing this. Because these things don't care, like the ULC doesn't care who you worship. They don't care as long as you worship someone or something. And as long as you have a higher power and you acknowledge that, then they're good. Specifically, it's in place so that anybody can get ordained to marry their friends or to, run a church, things like that, especially for neo-pagans, heathens, folks like us who need a place and need something to do. That's what ULC is all about. So, not to overly plug their stuff, but that's where you can get an ordination, just to prove a point, okay? And the point is that you don't need some outside source to tell you that you're legally ordained to do what you do for your tribe. I mean, you technically do, because ULC is an outside source, but I'm saying you don't need a national org to tell you that, yes, you've met our standard of Godhi and that we will acknowledge you as Godhi. Unless, of course, you're trying to belong to that particular national org, at which point, as part of the worthing process, it's appropriate at that point to try and meet their expectation for that. But if all you're doing is out there trying to take care of your tribe, grassroots style, you don't necessarily need that. Okay? It's a great source of information. Learn everything that you can. Try and get reading lists out of them. Go do the reading yourself. Talk to as many of the people as you can so that you continue to grow as an individual. You continue to grow and get better and can better facilitate ritual for your tribe. Just keep in mind the whys. Okay? This is the important part. Why are you a Godhi? Why are you filling this role for your tribe? The why is that you are trying to facilitate ritual to keep the tribe good with the gods. So you need to constantly be getting better at that, constantly learning about that, and to teach the tribe, or at least to encourage their spiritual and religious growth. I do divide those two, keep that in mind. Spiritual is of the profane, mundane world. The hidden world, spirits. Religious is with the gods and goddesses, or the sacred. Little shout out to some folks I know that have an aversion to the term religion. I'm going to do a video on that here, I think, fairly soon. Religion's not a dirty word, okay? Religion's just part of heathenry. I've actually already done one video on it, but I may need a more explicit, hey, I realize why this is baggage, and you guys don't have to worry about it, okay? So anyway, there's a relationship with the sacred and a relationship with the spiritual. It's the role of the priest class to foster that, to teach the people what they need to know so they can have a better relationship with the gods and goddesses. They can have a better relationship with their ancestors. They can have a better relationship with the Vater of their land. It's the priest class responsibility to learn and develop rituals that can be utilized by the tribe. They don't necessarily have to be the one to do it. Like, I've got rituals that I have designed for Redgar over the years that don't have to be done by me. There's a land taking ceremony that I designed back when we got our land that is a fairly simple ritual and is actually designed to be done mostly by the homeowner. I could be there and help to facilitate some of the setup and things like that, but for the ritual to be done effectively, the land taking actually has to be done by the landowner, because they're the ones that are taking responsibility and ownership of the land. So, that's the role of Godhi in that. If you want to teach somebody, let's say you're trying to do some warding kind of stuff on a home, which gets into kind of the magical esoteric things, not so much this is in the spiritual side of things as opposed to the religious side of things. But the priest class handles both in a lot of respects. By definition, they handle the religious, but functionally, they handle the spiritual as well. But if you're trying to do these things, you build a ritual that these people can do for themselves. And then you educate them why this ritual works. Arm them with everything that they need, set them free so they can have that, direct contact, that direct involvement, that autonomy that they seek. So, you guys have watched, hopefully, the tribal structure video so far. That was last week's. And so, I've discussed here the priest class elements of Godhi. I've discussed in the previous one the executive elements. And so the two mix together in the way that we do Godhi for our tribe. I am constantly doing both of these things. I'm constantly leading the tribe, trying to make decisions for the betterment of the tribe, but I'm also trying to do that from a standpoint of fostering their spiritual and religious well-being, their growth as heathens, and then to ensure the perpetuation and growth of the tribal luck, and then also to structurally and functionally make sure things continue to run the way they're supposed to run. So it's the executive side of things mixed with the priestly side of things. Because ultimately speaking, all are one. You can't really make executive decisions without taking into account the effect it's going to have on the weird and luck of the tribe. You have to make decisions for the tribe, with the tribe, that are going to keep the tribe good with the gods. Because it is to the gods that we owe everything. It is in order for us to grow stronger and to be better and to be this amazing tribe that we can be, we have to be good with the gods. And we have a gift exchange that we have engaged in tribe to tribe, and in order to make sure that is perpetuated, that it has grown, and that it's strong, the leadership position needs to do that. They need to have a good, strong understanding of ritual and why ritual works, so that they can be making decisions from an executive standpoint and from a ritual standpoint that all work towards the central goal of keeping the tribe good with the gods. So anyway, this was long, this was rambly. The whole gist is that there's the historical definition of Godhi, such as the Icelandic regional leader. That's largely a political term, but did have some of the priest class elements to it by virtue of the fact that they were landowners and they just happened to have where the rituals were going to be held. Plus, they had the most people, things like that. There is some evidence of priest class, dedicated priest class outside of this, back from the mainland. It gets a little confusing in some of the source materials. You can do a lot of research on it. But like I said, even Odin himself is a priest class that rose up to lead the tribes as far as the development of the mythos. If you're looking straight from the mythos itself, you're going to see already this priest class leader. But if you look at how the mythos developed over time, seemingly, what you'll see is a progression of Odin from priest class up to ruler or leader class. So this all to say, I get that there is some arguments going on online as to whether or not Godhi is even necessary, as to whether or not they should call themselves Godhi. I got roasted pretty recently on one of these blogging pages. Somebody shared my video up on there. Actually, one of my Jarls shared my video up on this particular page. And the guys lit into me. And they hadn't watched any of the videos, none of that. And what it comes down to is that a lot of them were lighting into me because my little intro there says I'm the Godhi of the Ridgar folk. And so they wanted to latch on to the fact that I said I was Godhi and argue that fact more than anything else. So you can see it's a hot button topic depending on who and where you're interacting with. And so I want you guys to understand that it doesn't matter what they think, okay? They can give you a hard time, whatever. The only time it matters what they think is if you're trying to build some kind of social standing within the social structure that they're in. What matters is your people. As long as you are good to your people respect you in the position that you are in, and they give you that title, you're good to go. So then it's not a power trip. It is a responsibility, and it's a deep one. It's a long, ongoing, hard-working responsibility that you're going to have to work at yourself. So, do what you need to do. Learn, talk to people. Don't get sucked up in somebody else telling you how you have to go learn from them how they effectively go but nobody can tell you how to do what you need to do for your tribe. They can give you advice, but only you can decide what's best for your tribe, and only your tribe can decide whether or not you're the leader they wish to follow. It's reciprocal. Everything's reciprocal. It's give and take. So, you guys have any questions or anything, you know how to reach me, all right? Let's give it the whole spiel here real fast, real quick. Thank you for listening to today's video. If you like it, hit like down below. Subscribe and ding the bell so you can stay up to date on all of my videos. The more you interact with the videos, the more you're going to see in your feed, both of me and others like me. Similarly, you can follow me on Facebook at Word-Weaver Productions. Hopefully that's going to appear over here shortly. It should already be up there. You can email me at You can email me at esjerven@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at E_Sjerven. I'm bad at Twitter, so if you do, don't expect much, okay? You can also send me anonymous feedback on Saraha, ericwordweaver.saraha.com. So, if you guys have any questions, if you just want to join in the conversation, jump in there in any of those. Some people have actually sent me stuff on Saraha. I get a kick out of that. Sometimes I'll share the stuff out because it is anonymous. There's no way for anybody to tell you were the one that gave the comment, so it can be kind of a starter of conversations. I kind of like that. I dig the element of Saraha that lets people, give me anonymous feedback because it can be a little more honest in their feedback. But don't worry, it's not. There's one more recent one that I wish I could share up, but they did give a little bit of identifying information in their comments, so I can't share it out because it'll give away who it is. And by virtue of the fact they chose to use the Saraha, that meant they would prefer the anonymity element, and so it's not going to show up on any of the other things. So just so you guys know, I do take that into account. If you do put identifying information in the Saraha, I'm not going to blast you out on the internet. I'm going to respect that. But if it is something that doesn't contain any kind of identifying information at all, I may use it as a conversation starter because it can't trace back to you. Heck, you could comment on it in the thread on Facebook then and throw everybody for a loop commenting on your own initial comment. So meta, go figure. Anyway, rambled on too long. So thank you guys for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. Gonna keep doing it as long as you keep watching and you keep liking what I do. Okay, so hail to you. Have a good day. May your ancestors smile on you.